So JJ McCuckold is like this fucking YouTube politics Canadian guy. And he talks about like Canada and politics and shit and like culture according to his YouTube channel. I don't know what fucking culture is, but I guess it just sums up like Marvel movies or some shit because that's like pretty much what he's sitting in front of in like all of his videos. But he makes this video on like fucking Wikipedia and he hates Wikipedia. He has like the biggest fucking hate boner for Wikipedia. He hates it. And the thing is, he himself has tried to make a Wikipedia article on himself like multiple times. You can actually look at it. And in his video, he says that he hasn't used Wikipedia in years. He hasn't used Wikipedia in years. And yet he's trying to make a Wikipedia article about himself. So he's just lying. So that enough just like discredits the entire fucking video. That alone. But he decides to make all these points against Wikipedia about how, like, some stuff is poorly written, which, like, sure, yes, some stuff is poorly written, but he doesn't go to bother editing it himself. Because, no, why would he do that? Because he works for the Washington Post, and he writes articles for the Washington Post, and that's where he gets his money. So why would he write anything that doesn't make him money? So then he decides to list, like, alternatives to Wikipedia and stuff. But all these alternatives fucking suck, and I'll get into that later. But he wants people to think that because Wikipedia is, like, written by, like, the public, that means it's bad when compared to, like, real sources or whatever. And he's like, okay, well, are you going to actually address any real issues with Wikipedia? Because there have been problems with Wikipedia for years. Like, you know, the Croatian Wikipedia, like, being co-opted by, like, Ustaše, like, neo-Ustaše people, and they like, took over Wikipedia. It's been fixed, mostly. There's still some issues with it. But he doesn't even bring that up. He doesn't bring up stuff like where Wikipedia will, like, refuse to, like, make articles that probably should exist, like, with, like, Christian. Like, I would argue the Christian article probably should exist. I can kind of understand why they don't want that on there, but, you know, he's, like, the most documented person alive, so it would make sense that there be a Chris article. Just make it protected. Like, the Trump article is protected, they can do a Chris article and it would be protected, and it would probably function the same.
Should care less about broadening the site's base of users than trying to diversify the people at the top. And who are the people at the top? Well, the conclusion of those who have crunched some of the publicly available data, which Wikipedia tries to keep to a minimum, seems to be that it is mostly people who resemble this guy. A few middle-aged white male Americans with a lot of free time on their hands, but no real credentials for creating the world's leading repository of knowledge beyond that.
So, like, the whole reason he made this video, he mentions this in the video, is that he was, like, doing research for some fucking bullshit or something, and he's, like, doing this by watching a goddamn podcast. And this will come up again where he, like thinks podcasts are, like, legitimate research for some reason. And he's like, wait a minute, this is just a Wikipedia article. Of course, he only knew this once he looked at Wikipedia, lied about not using Wikipedia again, but this time it's kind of forgivable. But, of course, he never addresses that he tried to make a Wikipedia article about himself in the video. He never addresses this point. And I can't say I blame him because that makes him look fucking stupid. But, of course, like, he somehow makes himself look even more stupid in this video because he says that, like, well, Encyclopedia Britannica is, like, the only, like, competitor to Wikipedia that does what Wikipedia does. And then later in the video, he recommends to use Encyclopedia Britannica as an alternative. Like, what the hell am I supposed to think of that way? Like, you shit on it one point in the video and you say you should use it in another part of the video, but that's not all. That's not all. He says that you should use, like, the Washington Post and the New York Times. You know, you gotta pay up instead of using Wikipedia. Give me money for my articles. Like, but it's like, you can't find everything on the New York Times and the Washington Post. Now, of course, he says to use books. He says use books. And yeah, you should use books. You should use books. You should do independent research using fucking books and shit. And articles and stuff. But no. He doesn't mention, like, where you can get books easily. He's like, buy the books from Amazon. Like, I'm sorry, like, 5% of all books ever written, it's estimated, you can just access free through, like, archives on the internet and shit. Like, he doesn't like the idea that people can access information without paying. That's a completely foreign concept to him. Like, anything that involves, like, the public access to information, he just dismisses it. Like, I'm sorry, but, like regardless of your opinions on Wikipedia as a whole is, like, the largest piece of collective human knowledge ever. And you can't just look at that and just, like, oh, well, that's bad. Like, are you kidding? This is, like, the pinnacle of, like, human, like, accomplishment in the form of, like, writing and research and shit. What the fuck is wrong with you where you're like, you see, like, one mistake on there a few times and you're like, this is bad. Or you see people, like, use Wikipedia without using any other sources, which isn't even their fault. How the hell is that their fault? That's the person making its fault. That's like if you, like, someone gets plagiarized and then you blame the person for writing the work that was plagiarized. It's like, well, you shouldn't have written that, otherwise they wouldn't have plagiarized it. That's fucking stupid. This fucking stupid person. So then, this is the worst thing of all. He says to use fucking history.com. History.com.
At the beginning of this video, I bragged about how I don't use Wikipedia, and I'd like to conclude this video by recommending some of the better online resources that I use instead. Sites like Amazon or Apple Books. You can easily purchase digital versions of books from different eras that in earlier eras you would only be able to get at the bookstore, or maybe not even that if the book was particularly obscure. And if you don't want to spend money, it is also worth exploring the website of your local library, many of which have extensive ebook programs these days, where you interviews to the mainstream media, as well as things like podcasts, not just one-off isolated news articles of the sort that Wikipedia likes to quote. Established publications with ample reporting resources, like the New York Times or the Washington Post, where I worked, in addition to sites like Encyclopedia Britannica or Biography.com or History.com.
Is there some kind of extraterrestrial connection between the Mayans and the Chinese?
Now the question is this: was the Garden of Eden really some kind of laboratory where certain things were created?
Is it possible that the Nazis perfected these things? Or is it possible that the aliens look like Nazis in uniform?
Any person that would, like, try to use, like, history.com in, like, an academic setting would, like, be shunned forever. It's just completely ridiculous. Everyone knows history shit. It's like a Disney-owned fucking psyop by, like, closeted fucking, like, Nazis. And that's not even an exaggeration, because, like, literally all of the ancient alien shit comes, like, from fucking, like, Goring or some shit. It's all from just Nazi bullshit. And they don't believe that, like, anyone who's, like, a darker shade of brown than, like, the purest of white or whatever can, like, build, like, anything without the help from aliens. And he thinks that this is an okay source to use as an alternative to Wikipedia. How do you even reach this level of just denial out of just being angry that your article about yourself didn't make it to Wikipedia? That's just fucking new levels of egotistical. But his shit takes aren't just, like, limited to his YouTube channel. He also makes really weird tweets on Twitter regarding politics. Two recent examples that are especially egregious are where he's like, oh, well, there were no war crimes committed by Bush or Obama. Like, you know, the two most famous, like, war criminals in, like, contemporary American history, like, not counting Vietnam or anything. Like, everyone, when they think of war criminal, for the most part, they think of fucking Bush or Obama. And it's because they pretty much just admit to it. And people will argue with him about this. He's like, well, why haven't they been charged? Well, you know, there's this thing where, like, in 2002, I believe, where if The Hague ever tried, like, a U.S. citizen, legally, the United States would have to, like, intervene and invade the fucking Netherlands to, like, destroy The Hague or some shit. And, like, he's like, well, yeah, these people aren't war criminals. You just ignore all the dead people in Iraq, all the drone strike children, like, that were directly ordered to be drone strike by Obama. It came directly from the White House. And, you know, this is okay. This is okay. Well, they didn't do anything wrong. They never do anything wrong. I love America so much. America never has any problems. Like, I can understand being skeptical, but you can't just outright deny war crimes. That's just fucking insane. This last thing is, like, the most recent, but this is, like, insane. There's literally no defending this. He's like, okay, well, you know, people are just, like, taking it too extreme about the Jeffrey Epstein documents. And he's like, yeah, well, they were horrible people, but the people just want like these evil pedophile cabals to be like a real thing to fuel conspiracy theories or bullshit. And then like the documents come out and he defends Jeffrey Epstein's goddamn lawyer who was on the island and touching kids. Like, you can look in the documents and see this, but you know, he defends this guy for no fucking reason. And I guess that just about does it for this video. And remember, Epstein didn't kill himself.